everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews. And over this past week, we have been driving this 2025 Mini Convertible John Cooper Works, and it has been such a blast. For 2025, Mini has redone the entire lineup of this vehicle, and of course we have been driving quite a few new Mini products over the course of this year. So this is another addition to our channel to kind of test out the full Mini lineup now. And of course we have the spiciest version of their current new convertible, and this vehicle is really special as the convertible and even just coupes in general market is shrunk significantly over the past few years, which makes this vehicle even more enticing as a drop top option. So of course, as always, we're going to take you on a full in-depth tour and review of this 2025 Mini John Cooper Works convertible and show you all of the unique, cool features, what's new for 2025, and how this has been to live with over the course of this week. Let's go dive in. Popping open the hood, as you can see, the headlights are still remaining stuck to the actual vehicle, and there's some cutouts in the hood here, but we have a familiar engine under the hood here. This is the 2-liter turbocharged B48 4-cylinder engine, and for 2025 we're actually getting a little bit more torque, around 44 pound-feet-ish of torque more, but we still have around 228 horsepower, making this the top spec version of this convertible, as well as the hardtop coupe. Now there's also two other versions of this convertible you can get. There is the S as well as the entry-level convertible as well. That just has around 200-ish horsepower, and then the entry-level model dips down into the hundreds. Though this one is the one I think you might want to get if you really want the most out of this vehicle, with the extra power, that cool turbo whistles and stuff. But I also think that S version is more than enough for this particular vehicle. Now this is now paired for this generation, this F67 generation, with a 7-speed dual clutch gearbox. It's a little bit of a change from previous Minis, and this is the transmission we're seeing in pretty much all new gas-powered Minis, as well as some BMW vehicles such as the 2 Series Grand Coupe, as well as the X1 and X2. Of course, in this particular application, power is being sent to the front wheels only, and through a differential as well to help manage torque up front. Now, of course, one of the other best traits about BMW's B-Series engines as of late, this B48, it gets great fuel economy. So I've actually been able to get over 34 mpg, even though the EPA numbers don't even come close to that. So this engine's way more efficient than what you may actually get on paper, which is a great thing. And honestly, with how small and lightweight this vehicle is, that 228 horsepower and that extra torque go a long way on the road. Now, of course, for design, the Minis have always kind of been an evolutionary take, and this is of course really applied here to this 2025 version. We find the new generation circular headlights that we've seen on the coupe, and I think these are awesome headlights. Full LED, of course, and can customize them to around 3 different styles through the infotainment system. You can even get rid of the actual circle and just have these horizontal dots, for example. And I think this chili red paint really does fit the character of this vehicle, though you have plenty of colors to choose from the Mini configurator. As with these racing stripes, you don't have to have them, but I think they really add to the funness of this vehicle. Now, since it's a John Cooper Works, we're getting the John Cooper Works front fascia over here. So we have a darked out Mini badge up front, and coming down here, we have a really more aggressive grille design. So there's a lot of openings through here. We're gonna find the John Cooper Works badge, and that's also gonna apply to the bumper area. We're gonna find a lot of more open intakes for, of course, the higher performance that this vehicle is giving you. A nice gloss black little lip spoiler accents on the side over here. Very tasteful design. But I do want to tell you that you can actually get this vehicle as a Cooper S and add a new John Cooper Works appearance package. So there's now an appearance package that will make it look like this car without the added performance. So keep that in mind. If you don't want this full top-end performance model, you can have the S and make it look like this one. Now, coming over to the wheel and tire area over here, we have the 18-inch wheels on this particular Mini, and I think they're actually a quite tasteful looking wheel, though there is a dark wheel option as well, which I actually think looks a little bit better than this one. With this one, I think for this particular color is a nice pairing. Now, behind here we have John Cooper Works branded brake calipers, and I believe for this generation they actually went away from the Brembo brakes to now like a single piston caliper up front here, which I think works fine. I think the brakes are actually pretty good. They feel really strong. They stop this relatively light and small vehicle very easily. So really no complaints there whatsoever. Tires are pretty good as well as getting grip. I think if you're using the traction control system, you're gonna be fine. If you go into the more aggressive sport modes or try to do like a launch control, these tires do spin just a little bit because all of that power is going to, of course, these front wheels. So that adds to a little bit of the spicy nature of this John Cooper Works variant. Coming around to the rear end of this Mini, again, really gorgeous paint color we have on this particular one. And with the John Cooper Works package, we get all the stuff blacked out, all the trim from the door handles, even the side mirrors, the Mini badge back here, as well as the center accent piece. And I really like going down here is what they've done with this little diffuser area over here. I think it's really nice that it's body colored and surrounded by this painted gloss black. Really cool contrast there. But you will notice that there is one giant center exhaust now. So that's a little bit of a different look for these John Cooper Works models. But if you peek underneath, there's actually another hidden exhaust there as well. So it's actually not just that one exhaust there. They're kind of tricking you just a little bit. Visually, I think it's okay. I would have preferred a dual exhaust setup, maybe two center exhausts, I think would have been nice. And of course, it's a convertible. So we have this convertible roof back here. Of course, this goes up and down in around 18 seconds. Not too bad. Of course, there's two different modes of this convertible. So we have it fully back right now. You could also have it just kind of scroll back just a little bit as well. So you have two ways to really use this vehicle as a convertible, which I think is really fun. And of course, we have the headrest removed here for just a little bit better visibility. Though if you have rear passengers somehow in this vehicle, you can put them back in, but they're pretty easy to take in and out as well. Mini also will provide a windscreen deflector back there that you can install on the rear seats, which actually does work quite well at reducing wind buffeting, even though it is still a little bit present, I did notice, even with it up. Overall though, as a two-person vehicle, if you don't want to use those two rear seats, it's a wonderful, wonderful experience. Though what is a little bit tough to use a lot of the time is this rear trunk. And this is one of the most unique areas of this vehicle. So you're going to notice back here, this taillights look very similar to the previous generation. What I think happened here is Mini didn't have the budget to kind of redo this entire rear end to fit those new triangular taillights. That would kind of involve redesigning the entire trunk system, all that stuff. So what they did was, since this is unique to this specific vehicle, all these components back here, is they actually kept the housing of the last generation, but put in the new technology, light design inside of this housing that we see on the new Minis. So you get all the customizable taillight themes there, the same cool LED effects and patterns are all still there, just in the older style housing. Now, of course, what I mean by unique is that this trunk back here opens up like a truck tailgate, and it is very, very tiny. You're not going to be able to fit that much stuff in here when this convertible top is down. There is a cover back here that you actually do have to put up in order to take the top down. But as you can see here, I have my backpack on here, the headrests are back there. I could probably fit 2 or 3 more backpacks in there. That might be it. It's not the biggest amount of space, but you can shove stuff in there. And if you needed to, if you only have 2 people, use the rear seats as cargo space as well. And when the roof is up, you can move this little divider up a little bit, even lift this rear piece of glass up a little bit and get a little bit more cargo room out of the rear trunk. But it is definitely on the small side. And I still think it's pretty cool of actually how it operates. Getting into the Mini, it's pretty easy, even since it's a convertible. Close up the doors. We do have a frameless window design since this is a convertible, and as with all new Minis, our stop-start switch is located in the center over here, so we twist it actually, which is a cool little fun touch. And have a listen to this. A little rev off the start there, and this is, of course, the new Mini interior. Let's close up our open roof right now real quick, just to have a little bit quiet. And here you can see how quick that operation is right there. So what's happening on this interior? Well, this is, of course, the John Cooper Works interior, and it means you're getting a blend of this kind of vegan leather material along with this Vessin cord material that Mini has become obsessed with. We have our seats over here as well, which are quite nice actually. Really cool. Again, that Vessin cord pattern up here. It has this mix of red and grays with a cool gradient of this racing stripe accent on there. Of course, oval right there in the center, some nice contrasting stitching, very strong side bolsters on these seats, even down here as well, very strong bolster. I think these seats are actually very comfortable. The only thing I'm not a fan of is how this headrest is fixed up here. It's a little bit odd because you can't really move it and it's at a weird angle, but the rest of the seat is actually really nice. In our driver zone area over here, over on the doors, again, that Vesson cord material is covering the door panel. We have these kind of gold accented door pulls right here, which is kind of cool. A lot of harder plastics though throughout the rest of the door card, which I would have liked to see a little bit nicer. Over here, of course, we have our window controls, all kind of scratchier plastics. I actually think the buttons and switchgear from the previous generation were a little bit nicer. Though again, power folding mirrors, a little bit of some storage, some more storage all the way up front over here, though it's very, very, very minimal. With a trunk release, hood release, and that's about it. We have these very slim controls over here for our air vents, but I am glad that they are just a normal design here. Same thing with these middle ones, just a normal design air vent. The one in the Countryman are a little bit more cool looking as they kind of take up more of the dash, though this one is a little bit of a different layout. Now, we may not have a screen anymore, but we do thankfully have this absolutely fantastic heads-up display system. It basically is a screen. It gives you all the same information you would get on this display and more so. And in person, the graphics and the quality of it are just fantastic. So I have no complaints there whatsoever. And a steering wheel design over here, the same we've seen on the other Minis, just like we saw on the John Cooper Works Countryman we had to review, and the John Cooper Works Coupe as well, the hardtop. We actually have the same steering wheel here. So we have this cool kind of John Cooper Works cord material here. Same again with that cord material. Nice accents there. John Cooper Works badge down here. Red stitching. I just think it's a little bit too thick. They've gone just a little bit too much on the thickness here, especially these grip points right here. I feel like I'm grabbing like a go-kart wheel, but honestly, I think that's what they kind of were going for here. We have paddle shifters here as well. There's also a boost mode as well, so you can hold that. Of course, automatic headlights and wiper controls, and I like how Mini has these shortcuts now. So just like in the new BMWs, you press this little button right here to access even more lighting controls in the infotainment. Same thing with here with your drive modes and controls. So you just press this right here, and it brings up the page for your drivetrain chassis, and all of your driver assistance systems can be in that screen. And up here, press this one and you get all of your interior lighting controls. So all of the interior lights are digital, so you can control them from here, and you can go in and control your ambient lighting. I love this little kind of surprise me mode where it picks your ambient lighting there, which is kind of fun. But you can only get this in personal mode when you're signed in with your Mini ID. So again, you got to sign into that Mini ID to really unlock all the features of this car. I signed in with mine just for the course of this week. So we can kind of test out all these features here. Even though I don't own a Mini, you can still do that, which is pretty cool. And of course, back here, we have our Mini projector. It even says it right up there. And as we saw in the other Minis, this projects light onto the dash over here and over there, which is your ambient lighting. The rest of the stuff's pretty fine, easy to controls on our steering wheel over here. Nice big giant center horn button. But you're gonna note we don't have a driver monitor as we saw in the Countryman, and this has pretty much every option you can get. So I don't think we're going to get that at all on this particular vehicle, which I think is fine. I didn't really find it particularly useful for me. Over here in the center, of course, we have our infotainment screen, which we'll get to in a second. Though, of course, no more climate controls, physical at least, on the new Minis. So we have our drive selector here for our 7-speed dual clutch gearbox. So park, reverse, neutral, drive, sport as well. We have our park button, which also doubles as our emergency parking brake button as well. So that's combined now into one button. We also have this start stop button right here, which does pulsate before the vehicle turns on, which is kind of cool. And I like these little tactile switches here. I think they're really unique to Mini. And speaking of experiences, we have our experience mode section, which is a little heart actually on it, which is kind of cool. And of course, a physical volume switch is there. Some physical buttons down here, like I mentioned, for our drivetrain chassis and driver assistance controls right there. Park monitor camera, so we have 360 camera on this particular vehicle with BMW and Mini's absolutely industry class leading backup assistant, parking assistant. It's some of my favorite systems in the work. It even, just mapped the path we took to park here to film right there, which is so cool. And I can just press this button and it will follow it reversing. We have a panoramic view up front. You can even add activation points by your location. So if you come up to your house, you want the camera to turn on, it will do so. And of course, we have the 360 view as well. Top tier camera systems. And of course, there's a car wash view. So plenty of stuff to play around with in here. Very easy, crystal clear, and nice to use. And of course, our experience modes. So that's really our drive modes here. So we have plenty. So we have personal, green, core, go-kart. The real ones that are going to change stuff, I think personal is the only one where you can customize your ambient lighting. Green is a really efficient mode. So it detuces the throttle mapping. It kind of
kind of gives you this unique display here. Even in your gauge cluster, it's a little bit more unique there. Core is pretty much like a normal mode, so it's just your day-to-day driving mode. It gives you a nice blend of all of this stuff. And of course, go-kart mode is your crazy mode. It gives you a cool sound. And now we have this display here which shows you a G-force meter, as well as your horsepower and pound-feet of torque, and some other fun information like your turbo PSI, as well as some other fun stuff there. So you can also just go right back to your regular gauge cluster, and even in this you get a little cool like checker pattern on there. It's a really cool fun screen. And tap it again, you can press settings. This is where you're going to be able to change your drivetrain settings. So we even have Sport Plus here. Same thing with Sport Plus and DSC off. So 2 levels of traction management there, steering behavior. You can even reset them and, you know, turn off the jingle if you don't like it, change the experience view when you start up the vehicle. It's a really customizable vehicle at the end of the day. So you can even upload, actually, if I go into this personal mode here, I can upload whatever picture I want to be the background. So I can customize it to be my own wallpaper. So you can upload a picture of your dog, your kids, whatever you want on here. So really cool stuff on this infotainment display there in that regard. Before we get deeper into this, as we've seen in our other videos, quick look at our lower central console area over here. We're going to find 2 cup holders that are pretty good, actually. We just have one giant mug today that just hits the top of this, but otherwise no issues there. Wireless charging mat over here with a cooler for your phone so it doesn't overheat, and it has this fun little strap to keep it planted down on there so it's not wobbling all around when you're driving this thing on some back roads. Down here is really the only area where you're going to be able to store stuff in this Mini. And this was an interesting almost complaint, I would say. I wish there was more storage in this vehicle, but this is a cool thing. It's kind of covered in this cord material. Even this little pull tab here, pop it open, and here's your storage right there. So I can fit my wallet and my glasses and a microphone in here. That's about it. And it is facing the driver as well, which is kind of interesting. A little bit of more storage here, 2 USB-C ports, 12-volt socket, but nothing opens in this center armrest over here, which I think is a missed opportunity. I think they could have had more storage. It also doesn't extend either, so it's kind of in this fixed position. At least it is nice and soft and squishy. You do have, of course, have a glove box though to store stuff in, so you can pop that open. You have a little bit more extra space in there. That is tiny. And you also get your mini key card you can use to unlock your vehicle without your key, or you can use the digital key from the app or your phone as well. So you have a lot of options to unlock and lock your vehicle. So that's pretty fun. We have our controls up here for our convertible roof. So use this button. I have noticed this week, every time I've touched this, I've somehow accidentally turned the interior lights on because it's a haptic button and it's literally right there. So that I've been doing a lot all week, which is kind of annoying, but they're all kind of centrally located right up here. Enough blabbering on, let's go into the screen real quick. And one of my favorite things about this car that you can only get on the Mini Convertible is our always open timer. So this will tell you how long, so let's say since this vehicle was built, so we'll go to since factory, the roof has been open. So I think that's a pretty cool touch there. We even have a built-in drive recorder as well in this vehicle. And there is an app store, so you can kind of go into that stuff and kind of dive into way more stuff in this vehicle. Quick look at the Mini Connected Plus store. You can just see there's like YouTube and Audible, Spotify, all the stuff you can really get in here. And there's even more stuff here, as you can see. So if you pay for the upgraded package, so this is a subscription through Mini, you'll unlock that drive recorder, the smartphone integration, and the Driving Assistant Plus. So if you don't have that package, you're going to miss out on these features that the car will already have, actually. So that's a little bit disappointing that you have to pay extra to unlock more features that the car already has, but it seems like every brand is doing that kind of stuff now. Climate controls are pretty easy to access, actually. So you can either press this little fan right here, it'll bring up your climate page. Pretty easy to access here. If you don't have auto on, for example, you just get a regular kind of fan control display here, so that's easy to navigate. But let's say you're in your home screen, all you have to do is press this little button on either side, and you can turn on your heated steering wheel really easily, heated seat, and adjust your temperature adjustment really right there, which is nice. Same thing for the passenger. But if you want to change your fan speed, you do got to go into this display here, or just leave it on auto like most people would do most of the time. Hey Mini, turn on my heated seat.
For which seat should I activate seat heating?
For the driver.
Seat heating on for the driver.
Okay, so it does work in some occasions, but overall, this is the Mini infotainment system. Love it or hate it, this is what you're going to get in the Minis. There's no other options. And definitely, as I say in every BMW Mini review, go to your profiles, change them, add in your account, you will unlock all the best features of this vehicle. Now, of course, I forgot one part, the rear seats. So let's go try to get in these. We have a little pull tab here, and I can definitely tell you right now that it will be easier if the top was open, but I want to see if, let's say it's raining. We had passengers in this vehicle. Oh dear. Okay, so getting back here is a little bit difficult. Let's see. Oh boy. Okay, it is definitely tight back here, I could tell you, but it's honestly bigger than I was expecting. Left hand side, I get nothing. I could see the seatbelt for the driver from sitting back here. I get 2 cup holders back here. Oh, actually, I'm sorry, 1 cup holder, and I guess some storage here. We have seatbelts, storage cubby, and that is about it. But what's shocking back here is actually these seats go so far back. You can, as you can see, fully sit in the seat, and I actually do fit back here with my legs. This is actually a better rear seat than the 2 Series Coupe. It's a rear seat, the rear-wheel drive 2 Series. So that's a shocking thing. The only thing is the backrests are pretty much completely vertical. There's a little bit of some sculpting onto it, and of course the headrests are in the trunk right now because we just had them down for better visibility, but you can put those right back in there and no issue whatsoever for the rear passengers. But honestly, it's pretty good in here, and headroom's surprisingly good. So as I mentioned, guys, I have an insane amount of headroom in this vehicle, which I think is kind of cool. I have like almost 2 inches of headroom actually, with this roof up, and obviously with the roof down, unlimited headroom. But this isn't the worst place to be in these rear seats. Getting out, of course, just pull this tab, seat will move forward and kind of get in and out just like that. So that's not too difficult. Again, much of an easier process if this convertible top is indeed down. You know, this car is very peppy and fun, and I like to say that this is a very unique vehicle. And I say it's a very unique vehicle in the sense that there's not many convertibles left on the market anymore. So this is a unique proposition to that solution if you're looking for a convertible now. And this one is plenty fun. You know, minis relatively are very mini still compared to all of the other vehicles in the entire world. They're really tiny generally. This car feels very small. Is it as small as they once used to be? No, but they are still small. They are still mini. They're still quirky. They're still fun, peppy to drive. They haven't changed. So, and if anyone's saying, you know, minis gotten bigger, they're too below, this is just not true. You haven't been in the new minis. Yes, they're way more technologically advanced than before, but they're still a mini at the end of the day. But efficient mode is really impressive. I was able to get 34 mpg this week on the highway run, and I know this car can do even better because these B48 engines are crazy efficient. And even as of this filming, there are rumors that Mercedes may even use the B48 down the road, which is kind of a crazy rumor, but I wouldn't blame them. It's a great engine. It's super efficient, peppy, powerful, and tunable as well. But as you can see here, with this little front piece of the roof open, you can also open your side windows easily. There's also one singular button to open all 4 windows. So you do have these tiny little rear quarter windows that you can open from the switch as well. So those are easily to go down, and that's really nice. And of course, we can go a step further and open up the full top. And I've noticed this little bit of a jerkiness in both efficient mode as well as in our just normal core mode, I believe it's called as well. Here we go, core. Definitely most notable in the efficient mode. It's really just at low speeds, if you're kind of just, you know, kind of coasting a little bit along, that you'll notice that. As you can see here, it is a little bit on the stiffer side. Is it the stiffest, you know, convertible I've ever felt? No. The ride actually on general road, just day-to-day driving, isn't that bad. You just kind of notice it over some bumps. That's mainly due to how stiff this vehicle is overall, because it is a convertible. Mini says they didn't change too much
from the coupe to the convertible, but there definitely is more chassis stiffening in here to kind of give you that same experience. And I think it's totally fine. I really don't notice any sort of like cowl shake or anything. Though how this convertible top is constructed, there is some kind of squeaking and rattling from the window seals as it kind of merges into the convertible roof. That I did notice. Of course, we also are getting our go-kart mode, so that gives you a fun little animation and sound there. This is where things get a little aggressive. If you go into your experience settings, press this button, you kind of adjust this to be even more aggressive. But this thing moves. I can definitely tell you that. You get two kind of different displays here, so you can have this view for our go-kart mode, or we can go back to our experience screen here and kind of have this G-force meter here, or your power meter. I think those are really fun and playful designs there. And it's really easy to change your drive modes, or what Mini calls experiences, in this fashion. So as you can see, you get a little bit of some fake pops and bangs out of this speaker system here. I wish the exhaust itself was a little bit more natural and louder than what they've done on this new JCW lineup. I've noticed this in the coupe version, the hardtop version, and this convertible, and even in the even more powerful Countryman John Cooper Works. Now, this go-kart mode is aggressive in the sense where this transmission will kind of downshift aggressively when you're coming to a braking in automatic mode. But of course, we have an S mode as well as manual shifting via these paddle shifters here. And while there may not be a lot of real exhaust noise, there is actually quite a bit of intake and turbo sound in this engine, which I think is actually really nice. So let's see what happens when you pop this transmission into S. Okay, downshifts a little bit. It's a little bit more aggressive. Very aggressive shifts there as well. And this thing, like I mentioned, is really quick. You know, with 228 horsepower, front wheel drive, you know, these aren't the biggest tires as well in the vehicle. Pop it back into our efficient mode out here on the highway. It's surprisingly quick. Now, of course, 0 to 60 times aren't crazy impressive, but that's not the point of this car. If you're, you know, looking at this vehicle and all you're worrying about are 0 to 60 times, then you're misunderstanding this vehicle. It's about fun and all daily driving applications. If you're able to have fun, you know, going around a slower speed area of some mountain roads or something, or even just in your daily driving commute, that is where this car really excels. But the great thing is, out on the highway here, this vehicle actually can go like a Mini and a BMW can, a proper premium vehicle. It can coast really well in these efficient modes like we have in right now, which means you're going to get really great fuel economy. And you know, if you're cruising at a higher speed on the highway where you have higher speed limits, it does that so well in a very stable, confident, and composed manner. So it has all that really premium nature in it still, which is really great. You know, steering isn't particularly good with feel, but you know, that's what we've come to expect out of a lot of Mini, BMW, and not just general vehicles these days. But the preciseness and the weight to it, I think, is pretty good. This car has a pretty quick front end. The front wheel drive, you definitely notice it, and this thing turns in really well. Going into a corner, you feel that, you know, kind of dynamic nature of this vehicle. It likes to go into corners, it enjoys it, and it will kind of make you feel happy doing so as well. So I really like that experience. On this highway experience though, it is definitely loud. You know, this convertible top is kind of canvas fabric material. It's thick, obviously waterproof, all that stuff, but it is let in a lot more sound than the regular hardtop will. Same thing with these windows. So that's just one thing you're gonna get out of this convertible, but it's a cool, tiny little convertible, and there's really no competitors in the market anymore like this vehicle. So I think you can just get away from that and kind of ignore it a little bit. This one does have pretty much every option you can get other than the Union Jack embroidered into this convertible top. So that means we get our adaptive cruise control system. So all I do is press the button on the left-hand side of the steering wheel here, and voila, we get active steering assist, active drive assist, and all of that fun stuff out of this vehicle, and a very familiar, easy-to-use fashion as we find in other Minis as well as other BMW Group products. We're also getting this really cool, you know, assisted display here showing us what's happening in the center gauge cluster, as well as our heads-up display up there. So this is a wonderful heads-up display. I actually like how they have kept this kind of pop-up little unit here. It gives you a little bit more of a separation from your windscreen, and it also allows, I think, a little bit more information to be displayed in a more clear, out of your main line of view sight, so it's not constantly distracting you all the time. So I do like that a lot there, and it's very crystal clear. The graphics are great. They're just as good as this display, honestly, which is really nice to see. And this system works absolutely wonderful. Obviously, it's not a hands-free system. When we were in the Countryman's, they actually had a driver monitor built into the front of this dashboard here, where it was able to kind of scan your eyes to make sure you're watching the road, so it could enable a little bit more advanced features than this particular vehicle can get. But still, this is a great feature. If you're taking this on a road trip, which we plan to do in this vehicle, I think it's going to work totally fine. But, you know, just general first impressions of this Mini over the course of these first few days, awesome. It's just really fun. It's incredibly a quirky vehicle. You know, stay tuned for our full dive into how this whole convertible top works, but it's a little unique, a little wild in that aspect. Even how the rear trunk is laid out, and to the mystery as to why Mini kept the older housing of the last generation's taillights, but the inside are actually the new generation's LEDs and components there. Really interesting stuff with this car. And the starting price isn't bad for the entry-level model. The Cooper S, even the mid-spec one, is really a great buy. I honestly think the JCW Convertible might be a little overkill. I honestly may just go for an S, because you can even get a JCW appearance package now with the Cooper S. So that may be something you want to consider if you don't want to go full all out in this JCW with a stiffer suspension, you know, fully adaptive dampers, and the likes. But something to consider there. And as always, thank you guys for joining me on this look at the 2025 Mini Cooper JCW Convertible, and as always, stay tuned for more coming in Allcarnews. Cheers.